Good morning. I'm Jennie Hendricks at Century 21 Prestige Realty, and this is your Monday morning market update. We are at week 20, and it's been kind of an interesting ride, hasn't it, this year with real estate? Let me get started and give you some information here. Currently, right now in our market, we have 190 residential properties available for sale. This is significantly down. If you remember back in episode 17, we were at 210 residential properties for sale. So that's a pretty significant drop in available homes on the market. The median list price is still $299,900, and we've been there for a long time. Looking at the 12-month numbers, 890 residential sales in our market, and that is also significantly down. If you remember, I think it was back in episode 17, we had 910 sales, and that's just a reflection of the slowdown market-wide across the country. There was just not as many residential transactions happening. We've talked about this before. I think that's changing, so I'll keep you posted on that. The median sales price is still $237,500 on those 12-month numbers. So no big change there. But the real story here is that the inventory levels are dropping, and that is, again, that's a nationwide issue. So we'll keep track of that and let you know how our inventory is shaking out. I just did a little bit of research, and I thought this was kind of interesting. Doing that year-over-year comparison that we did a few weeks ago, and I told you I was going to revisit that, and I always do what I say. So we're going to revisit that, just comparing January 1 through May 24th. So yesterday is when I pulled the numbers. In 19, there was 301 residential sales. The median sales price was $214,000. Compare that to this year, so going from January 1st to May 24th of 20, there were 295 residential sales, and the median sales price was $230,000. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The number of sales year-to-year comparison is at 98%. So you'll remember when we talked about this last time, the number of sales in January and then February and then March were really outpacing last year's numbers. Then, the market kind of hit the brakes lower end of March and then into April. So, but overall, the numbers are not actually off too much. So I'll keep track of that and let you know what happens in June, because I think we're going to see just a ton of market activity in June. So that'll be interesting to watch. One thing that I thought was significant, I'm reading that first-time home buyers are actually finding a new path into the market. We've seen investor activity slow down just a little bit, and in a lot of transactions, you find investors who are kind of competing with first-time home buyers for those same properties, and investors are sitting back just a little bit, and that's making some space for first-time home buyers to be able to access the market where maybe it wasn't quite as accessible even a few months ago. So that's kind of an interesting development, and I think positive for people who are trying to break into those entry-level properties and jump into the market. And with interest rates still being in the low 3% range, there's some really good opportunities out there for first-time home buyers. In fact, I was looking at rates comparing year over year, and last year at this same time, the benchmark 30-year rate was between 4 and 4.5%. So interest rates have dropped significantly, and that's, again, creating a lot of really nice opportunities, especially in that first-time home buyer entry-level price range. So if you're thinking about jumping in, now might be a really good time. There's some great opportunities. Okay. The Zillow issue that we talked about last week has not been resolved yet in our local market. So there are a significant number of listings in our market that are not showing up on Zillow. And this is an issue. So the listings are not getting the same amount of marketing that they were 2 weeks ago. And if you're a buyer and you're using Zillow to search for available properties, you are not seeing everything that is on the market. So I will keep track of this for you and let you know when and how that is resolved. Hopefully it will be soon, because that is a problem for our market. All right, one other thing that I thought was really interesting, and it's sort of the industry buzz right now, is historically we've had people who would purchase a home in our market a few years ahead of retirement, use it as a vacation home, or maybe a rental until they're ready to retire, ready to move permanently to the area. We are seeing a good portion of those folks say, nope, I'm moving now. I can live here full time. I can work from home and have a better quality of life. And so I think that we are going to see that trend continue as families gravitate toward more rural areas. And that's happening all across the country. Folks are realizing, and companies are realizing, that they can be just as productive working from home. And so I think we're going to see, continue to see that influx of people from larger areas coming into the more rural areas. And we're going to see an increase in buyers from those metropolitan areas coming to our area too. So this has been your Monday morning market update. I would love to be a resource for you. If I can, please reach out if I can help you in any way. I'm Jennie Hendricks, Century 21 Prestige Realty. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.